Welcome to Story Behind a Resume. I'm your host, 𝗏𝗏. For more than 10 years, I have been working in marketing tech for the CPG and QSR industries. I've had the chance to team up with some amazing leaders and have always been intrigued by their unique paths, their career ups and downs, and their changes and the successes that have defined their careers. Resumes often don't tell the whole story. They show the wins and polished achievements, but what about the obstacles, setbacks, and detours? These experiences truly define us. That's why I created Story Behind a Resume speaker series platform to give voice to those individuals who probably would have never shared the story before. I wanted to dig deeper and uncover the real stories behind those perfectly formatted resumes. A career is an evolving journey of growth, resilience, and self discovery, covering an entire lifetime. In each episode, I'll go beyond job titles and explore the pivotal moments that have shaped my guests' careers. I'll uncover valuable lessons, challenges overcome, and the guiding principle that have driven their success. I hope these stories will inspire you, encourage you, and remind you that your career journey is unique and worth celebrating. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the conversation. Today, I have a special guest with me, Alessandra Righini, whom I've worked with for many years. Alessandra has spent the last 15 years working in IT across Europe and the US, primarily in the consumer packaged goods industry. She started out in project management, but over the years, her career has evolved into more product and strategy driven roles, helping brands identify and implement digital capabilities that support their growth and purpose. Now, let me tell you a little bit about how I met Alessandra. Back in 2018, I was looking to volunteer for big projects, and I out to my manager, and he somehow connected me with Alessandra that, here is a project that she's looking to for help, and I was immediately interested. And that's how our connection started. Um, I could see she was a true leader in the digital space, always pushing the innovation, and I always admired her intention there. And interestingly, two of my previous guests, Emily and Amy, are common connections we share, which made reconnecting with her even more exciting. I recently reached out to her to invite her to share her career journey on Story Behind a Resume, and I'm so glad she agreed. On top of everything, we now have another thing in common: sleepless nights thanks to teething babies. Alessandra describes herself as an Italian adopted by the US. And today, we'll dive into her career evolution, the lessons she's learned, and her perspectives on IT, digital strategy, and leadership. Alessandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Apu. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I said this is my first live interview, first podcast. So exciting. I'm happy to share more about my story. As you already mentioned, I'm born and raised in Italy, and work brought me here in the US, which I consider now my home. I have a 9 months old baby, and that changed quite a lot my life. So I'm happy to also discuss what I've done in these years and what I'm doing now. Thank you for
Awesome.
inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Let's explore Alessandra's career journey. Starting at the very beginning, we'll discover her educational background, what she studied, and what sparked her passion for that field. Would you please tell us a bit about your educational background for our listeners?
Sure. I was born and raised in Milan, and that's where I graduated in economics. I chose a 5 years degree in economics. I think it was of innovation and new technology. I would say that the choice was heavily influenced by my family. My sister had already taken that path about a decade before me. My dad was a strong supporter of and fan of this college, and he said it's the best in Italy. And so, you know, when you finish college, when you finish high school, I don't know how many people have a clear idea of what they want to do in their life, unless it's a very specific passion. You know, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. I didn't have any of these, and I thought studying economics would have left a number of doors open for me. So I would have bought some time before starting the career, starting my professional journey. I chose the specialization in ISIT. I thought it was interesting, a bit niche. It wasn't the classic finance or, you know, management.
Right.
And so at that time, it was one of the first courses completely in English. And I said, look, why not? And I enjoyed it. It wasn't a very big class, but I enjoyed these 2 years. And then I got my first job. I actually signed my contract before graduating. And so I was approached by a telecommunication company. It's called Vodafone, which is more famous in Europe than in the US.
Yeah.
And so I went through all the interviews and I was offered a very nice package back then. And it was 2009. So if you remember, it was a year of economic recession worldwide, lots of financial pressure, the markets were unstable. So, you know, as you're looking forward to start working, I was offered like a good package back then. I'm like, let's take it.
Yeah.
Honestly, without doing a lot of due diligence nor looking for other opportunities. I'm like, I have a job before my college is ending, let's take it. And it was interesting, I thought, because it was part of this graduate program where you basically rotate across different disciplines. It was retail, it was call center, it was online. So I'm like, let's do it. And it was my first job in IT. Did I
Amazing.
enjoy
And
it?
did you?
No.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's, I think, the fun part of the story. I think I stayed there for 3 years. And I don't think I enjoyed the industry that much. Telecommunication is very specific. And I think you really have to have
Right.
a special passion for it.
Yeah.
And I took my time, but decided ultimately that I needed to turn the page. And that's what I've done 3 years after.
It's a great experience you shared. And I found more similarities. I graduated
Tell me.
almost on the same time.
Ah,
I faced the same issues, finding jobs, the right one that I would like. So it's amazing to hear that you went through that. I feel the same.
yeah, I mean, you're young. You want to be independent, right? That's one the time
Yeah.
I want to be able to have my credit card and buy me this and buy me that. So I thought it was just a good opportunity.
Yeah.
It just over time you realize that you may like certain topics and certain industries more than other, and it takes
Right.
mistakes and it takes, you know, experience to be able to
Right.
understand what you like and what you don't.
Right.
Um,
Is there any key lessons for everyone here, for our listeners, from that particular experience, like in the particular job that kind of hits you like, okay, I'm gonna quit now and find another job.
it took me time to land to that, and it took me 10 years to land on this conclusion.
Oh,
I think that each of us at different points in our career feel uncomfortable at work.
yeah.
Right now, I'm feeling uncomfortable because it's a new position with maybe not 100% defined success criteria. And I'm stretching myself, but
Right.
I acknowledge it and I'm fine with it. In the past, there I felt uncomfortable and I just let it go. It's like I wasn't listening to my gut feeling, and it wasn't the same reason that I'm experiencing now. It's more about, you know, not feel attuned to the mission of the company and certain management styles. And so I think my advice would be when you feel and you know it, that there's something off,
Mhm.
ask yourself why. And if it's a reason that deserves a reason to pivot, to change, then do it. And don't dwell on it, just do it.
I completely agree. The way that you discovered yourself, I resonate the same, and I think many people face the same. But you're lucky that somehow you found yourself out and then landed the second job. What was your second job? I
Yes.
would like to know.
My second job was one of the first and most important milestone in my career. It was a job in Nespresso, part of Nestle. I I applied to this junior e-commerce project manager position, and after a number of in-person interviews, I got my offer letter. And without thinking too much about it, I decided to accept. So it was my first job abroad, um, away from my family. First time I was living by myself, basically, speaking a different language. But I decided it was worth it. I loved, I knew Nespresso, of course, I was already a customer. I knew the company, I loved the product. I had such a great vibe when I visited the office that I said, I have to do it. And it was I learned a lot from the 3 years that I did that job. I learned how to do serious project management. Nespresso was very advanced in terms
Right.
of how to, track the budget, track resources cost and forecast, lots of gates. And so it wasn't easy. Like I really had to roll up my sleeves and ask for a lot of help
Mm,
to my colleague, and then became friends. But I'm so
amazing.
glad that I did it.
You did it.
Uh,
Yes. I think that's a key takeaway from that experience is that do not be shy to ask for your help around you because without help, you won't be able to grow yourself, right? So thank you for sharing that initial story on your education and then your first job and second job. Would like to pivot to your career growth and transitions. So now that we have explored Alessandra's early career, let's delve into her professional evolution. We'll uncover the significant milestones that shaped her path, promotions, job changes, or even transitions to entirely new industries. Although she already mentioned one, would love to hear if there are more. Alessandra, what are
oh
some
yeah.
of your major milestones, decisions, and skills you decided to develop over the 15 years?
So I would say the second milestone coincides with a change of role and a change of location. So after 3 years in Switzerland, I realized it was time for me to change.
Right.
I felt it. And so I started looking around within Nestle for another possibility outside of Switzerland.
Hmm.
And after a number of attempts, I landed and I was presented with a very good opportunity to run, we called it digital transformation back then, in Los Angeles, or
Mm-hmm.
very few miles from Los Angeles. And I decided to take it.
Hmm.
And once again, I accepted the job without having a strong foundation in terms of technology that I was going to implement,
Right.
nor connections, because when I landed in Los Angeles, I didn't know anybody in the office. Um, but one of my key learnings is when you have the motivation and somehow the fire, then
Yeah.
things fall in the right place. And so I think that coincided with a personal growth and professional, because the level of complexity, the stakeholder management
Mm-hmm.
in that project were a notch more complicated than what I experienced in the past. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, it was still project/program management, a number of streams that had to be coordinated, um, but very, very formative. Like I really learned from the people there, from the challenges, because there were plenty, and it just helped enrich my background and my baggage. The other shift happened a bit later, more recently. That's when I stopped having this project program or like a 2 years type of contract, type of
Mm-hmm.
project engagements, and at this job in Mars where I started as product owner. A little bit of more of long-term planning. I have already started that in the last role in Nestlé, because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
easier when you try to change the career when you do
Right.
it within the same company, right? Because it's more protected in a way. But then it evolved even more in Mars when I really had the job of a product owner. And that marked a little bit another change in the career.
I see. I see there is a link between, each of your milestones and the passion you bring to learn new stuff. With your earlier comment about your father, I think you took the inspiration from your father all the way in the 15 years of your career growth. Am I correct?
Yes, we spend so many hours working that if you don't do what you like, it becomes extremely difficult. So I would say, yes, passion, you have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Patience and perseverance. These are a couple of other qualities that a very important person mentioned to me in the past. It's just having the faith in yourself, knowing that you're not alone in the journey. As you said before, know that there are colleagues in the company, there are specialists that are so easily reachable on, think about LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
that I think you can easily find somebody else who is living the same challenges or has lived them in the past and can advise.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest you figure out on the way. There's that much planning you can do, and then it's a matter of adapting and
Right.
learning as you go.
Right. I'm curious to know, maybe I want to pick your brain a little bit. I found communication and collaboration, these two skills that gave me a lot of rewards back, especially communication. If you are transparent, if you can set the expectation, if you can do conflict management, and understand what the other person is wanting from you, especially if you are in technology. And collaboration, obviously, you need to learn how to work with different kinds of people. Would you comment on those two and how you develop those skills?
Communication, yes, it's a given, but another nuance that is, it very much depends on where you live and who you work with.
Mm-hmm.
I had certain styles developed by working 3 years in Italy that I realized I had to change the moment I went to Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
And once I felt familiar with them and I moved to the US, I realized that there are other like implicit rules that American people adhere to, and you have to adapt. A month or two ago, I started working with China. And again, I'm realizing that the communication rules that or do's and don'ts that you have in the US are not the same. So it's very much important to know the parties that you work with and be open to adapt. I think that being monolithic and assuming that your way of communicating is the right one is not going to pay off in the long run. And when it comes to collaboration, I think that it's especially important in settings like ours when you work in corporate,
Mm-hmm.
where it's a given that it takes more rounds of iteration and involving all the stakeholders at the right time to make things happen. So it's absolutely, if you ask me, one of the two key must-have for a person to work, in a CPG right now. It's being able to get the teams with you. Solo star, don't go too far for me.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing those. I think it's very important that you stay open about, even though you think you have learned everything about communications, but different countries, different cultures, different background of people have different ways of accepting or understanding things. So thanks for bringing that up. Really appreciate it, and I think I understand your perspective now. Um, would like to move on to our next section, which is deep dive into your current role and industry insights. So with your early career explored, let's now chart the course of your professional journey. Alessandra, what's your take on it, specifically your current role as digital experience orchestrator at Mars? What keeps you awake?
Um, it's a relatively new assignment, I would say, since December.
I see.
But what keeps me awake is, and I'm copying something that I heard from one of my managers in the past, is the number of possibilities that we have, but the very little time and resources that we can use. My objective right now is to really a couple of things. Understand where the business that I follow want to go in the next 3 to 5 years. And identify what are the capabilities that are needed from an IT perspective. And this because it's easy to do that when the strategy is clear and IT is told what to do. Then it becomes a matter of implementation.
Right.
But what we're trying to do is change that and anticipate the request so that we are ready on day one and support the business in their growth and in aligning the tech to the brand purpose. We call it experience orchestrator because I'm working specifically on M&M right now. Everybody knows the brand, right? So
right. My favorite.
Oh, it's good. You know that you can personalize, and I can give you a discount code.
Really?
That's
Okay.
awesome. Yes, please.
All right.
With your photos or clip arts or text messages. And we sell online and we sell in store. And so right now we are thinking how to make this blend the experience that you have online and in store, like making it more similar. Call it omni-channel strategy.
Right.
And one other stream of work that I'm following right now is this of immersive experiences. So how do you elevate the experience in store in retail so that the product is and will always be important, but so that the experience takes over a little bit. And M&M will be famous not just for the peanut butter or for the milk, chocolate, lentils, but for the entire portfolio of services and stuff you can do online and in our stores. So that's very exciting, and bringing in new technologies that align with the brand purpose. That's really, I really like this part. How IT can enable and be a partner for the business. Love it.
Wow. No, that's amazing and sounds very interesting. I would love to see how the experience happens. Are you also targeting the Canadian market? Because I'm in Canada, as you know. The same experience?
We will. Right now, there's that much that I can share, but that's why we're starting with China. And assuming that it will be a success, then a few things that we are doing there will be ported over to the other regions.
Nice.
But yeah, stay tuned.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. In terms of industry trends, do you follow any magazine or any newsletters? How do you stay updated on major challenges you face?
I think it's mostly through LinkedIn and some newsletters. So my objective is to improve my knowledge on the industry standards benchmark when it comes to retail experiences. There has been the CES conference in Vegas that I missed, but that type of conferences where you can really see what are the new trends and what could be potentially interesting technologies for the brand. When I think of immersive experiences, I mean, it's a matter of fact that interactive technologies, digital shelf, they all increase conversion rate and engagement and NPS of the customers in store. Another objective that is common, I guess across retail and CPG is getting the famous first party data, right? That you can get through B2C, but make sure that you have a hook to the guest and you are able to engage them after they visited you in store. So
Right.
what do you offer them in order to have that email address or that phone number, and how you make this guest part of your CRM and create, that engagement and that loyalty that we want to develop. Another key aspect is the one of the community. Being able to create a community of fans that share the same interest, that can share how they interact with the brand and create context, sweepstakes, making sure that you have good product content that people are interested in. And M&M has
Right.
so much to that we can share, all the characters, their personalities. There's a really good amount of material and product information that we can communicate to our guests in any shape or form.
Amazing. That's really great to hear. I want to ask you, since you are a very innovative person and creative person, how do you keep your creativity alive?
Who said that dream don't cost nothing? Yes, it's just thinking of new ideas, and I think there are many of your ideas. It's something I'm trying to control. Many of your ideas will be rejected, but I don't want to feel, and I should not feel bad about that. I have to see this as part of the funnel. 100% ideas, 100 ideas are entered, and then there are several filters, and that's okay. That's even how innovation works. Also looking at what other companies are doing. So I'm thinking about what companies inspire us. Think, the Lego, the Red Bull, how they are perceived by the guest, and what we can do to emulate or to be even better in our space.
Right. In your opinion, which company do you think is the most creative or innovative?
Look, I'm impressed by Lego. I was in Costco the other day. You might have been in Canada too. And I saw these new products that they launched. They are botanical creations. Like with pieces of Lego, you now can create a bouquet of flowers, roses, and plants. And I thought, wow, this is truly a company that can evolve, despite the products, it's really the same. It's just these building blocks, but the way they're used, and they also created this community of fans where you can, play with other people in the community. I think it's a company that is really able to evolve, despite being loyal to their original product. So
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think Lego has been my childhood dream, to play with it all the time. I know friends who still are fans and they create scenes out of Legos. Um, and there are competition out there that happens to kind of come up with new kind of village or all Lego themed. And obviously there's a Lego movie.
I bet Lego movie, a Lego museum. And I was talking with a colleague like Valentine's Day, and she said that she's collecting the gifts that the husband gives her every year, and those are Lego creations. So he's happy because he's crafting them. She's happy because she receives a unique gift every year, and then they display them in the house. I thought, it was such a win-win-win situation.
Awesome. No, that's great. I'm a big fan of Lego, so thanks for sharing that. Would like to now switch over to your to advice for career growth for the audience here. So let's uncover those valuable insights from you, Alessandra. Um, we'll also delve into impact of networking and mentorship. I think our listeners would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure, I'll start from that then.
Sure.
Networking, I think I've always done that without second agenda, and I think that's how it should be. I'm just being interested in what others are doing, especially people I work with. I think in Nestle and that they left the company.
Mhm.
It's just interesting to see what they are doing once you shared a piece of journey together, and there is no second agenda, the type, hey, I'm looking for a job, I want recommendation. So genuine interest. I'm not a person who joins events or conferences of that type, but I think that's also a nice way to connect with people who might share your same interest. When it comes to mentorship, yes, I own a gigantic part of my career to very limited number of people, especially one. Um, Not sure if it's a mix of being a mentor and being a sponsor, like somebody that makes your name when your name is discussed in a closed room. And I don't think there is a recipe though for that to happen. Um, I'm not a strong believer of those programs that match mentors and mentees. Um, I would like that to happen in a more organic way.
Mhm.
But yes, I still have mentors, mostly previous managers that I love to chat with to get their viewpoint.
Mhm.
And I think it's better even now that we don't work in the same company. Um, I think finding or having the chance to find somebody uh, that can support you, guide
Right.
you. And what I love the most is giving you a different lenses, like people that can help you reframe a problem or a situation are really valuable. Like be close to them. They are an asset for you and for your growth.
That is so valuable. And my recent experience, I did have a mentor formally, not organically, because I reached out, and that's a program. It She actually helped me to stay motivated and develop new skill set or upskill my current skills. So I think it's really valuable, a mentor, especially the right one who will understand your need and give you a different perspective, just like the way it said.
Don't get me wrong. I think those initiatives should exist
Right.
because they open the door. They create
Hmm.
equity. That's how I like to say. For people that might not know, might not have the courage, the possibility to reach out. So they should exist. But in my view, in the ideal world, this would happen in a different way.
I see. Um, so I'm curious to learn about true networking and mentorship. So mentorship you talked, but what are the key skills needed in order to do networking? Because networking is, I've heard many things, and people are shy, are not comfortable. They have to, especially introverts like me. I have been complete introvert for the last 10 years. I'm trying to open up now and reach out to people. I'm not shy anymore. So what kind of skill sets do you think are important for networking?
What do we say? That you have to give something and not just take. Okay. Provide value first before ask anything to your network. And look, I'm not the most extrovert person either. So even now, it's an effort for me to reach out to people I don't know on LinkedIn. And doing that when I see that their experience could benefit me in the sense that I would learn from their current job or previous endeavors, but it's still it still bothers me to reach out. But then I did some coaching, and ultimately, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is people say, no, I don't have the time, I'm not the right
Yeah.
person, or I'm not responding. And so let's stop being afraid of rejection. Let's understand what's the limit. You cannot stalk people and asking them to talk if they really don't want to. But let's find the courage to break the ice. And on this, I'm committing to do that, especially as I want to connect with peers in the industry and understand a little bit more how they are doing in their day-to-day job that resembles to mine.
I know a tool out there, or maybe a group that encourages public speaking,
Résumé.
Toastmaster. Do you think that helps in networking?
I think every passion that you do genuinely will help. Like if you like hiking, join a group hiking, and that's another way of networking. My takeaway of all these years is that you have to do things that motivates you. Because if you do something just because, at the end you won't be, everything will look like a problem, and it will be a burden. So take your time, find out what are activities create pleasure for you, and pursue them, versus saying, oh, I have to go to the conference because I want to give out my business card to 5 people. Just focus on what matters, what makes you happy, and I think the connection will come, professionally and non-professionally.
Thanks for sharing that. I know you have mentors. Have you mentored anyone?
I think so. I think it happened in the past. I would be happy to. I don't know if after this call people would like to reach out. I'm available on LinkedIn only. I don't have any other social media, not Instagram, not TikTok. So if people would be interested in having a offline chat, I'm happy to.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that you're open to mentorship. I think a lot of people look out for experienced professionals like you because if they don't have anybody near them, they look out for strangers out there and see if they can do it. I have been approached by a few randomly, and I try to help them. So it's great that you are open.
For sure.
All right. So um, our next section is actually a funny one, an interesting one. Rapid fire question and answer. So I'm gonna ask you quickly, and you're gonna answer quickly. Are
Let's
you
do
ready?
it.
Okay. What's the best career advice you've ever received?
Um, he didn't say it to me directly, but the one that I love is from Sir Branson, when he says, if you're offered an amazing opportunity, you don't know how to do it, just say yes, and then you'll figure it out. So I think I embodied that in my career a number of times.
Yeah, I can see that. Amazing. A book or podcast that influenced your career?
Oh, there is a short book that I read a number of times. It's called The Art of War. I think by Sun Tzu, if I remember.
Oh, it's
It's famous,
famous.
right?
Yeah.
So I read it when I was in
Yes.
a particularly tough context and tough stakeholder. So I said, I need some help. And that book is just inspiring.
Amazing. One skill everyone should learn.
Project management.
I
Right.
agree. A mistake that taught you the most.
Um, Doing something when I am not clear on the why. If I'm not strong on the why,
Yeah.
if I'm not able um, to grasp it, then, oh my gosh, I'm going to suffer. So pause and make sure that you are clear with yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you know the motivation that triggers a change of location, a change of role.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree. If you could do one thing differently in your career, what would that be?
Um, I miss not having worked in a consulting firm. Um, I think if I could go back in time, I would take a couple of years right after college and work in one of those management consulting firm where you learn a little bit more about structure and
Hmm.
sales pitch.
I agree. And I have tried a few times in the last 6 months
Yeah.
to get a consultancy firm. They don't take me at all because I don't have the experience.
We should have done it right
So
after university.
exactly,
Another life. Still
exactly.
happy of where we are. So we were without consulting.
Describe your career journey in 3 words.
I would say brave, um, a little bit serendipitous, like a little bit of chance and luck. And then I like to say that the best is yet to come. I think I have a very optimistic
Amazing.
outlook on the future.
I love that. And I want to keep the same outlook. Thanks for inspiring me through this. All right. So we came to an end and of rapid fire. Thank you so much for sharing those interesting insights. I really loved the answers. Now we're going to close our session. We've come to the end of our interesting conversation. I don't know how the time flew. Um, Alessandra, any final thoughts or words of encouragement for the
Oh,
audience?
I elaborate on what you said at the beginning. Every career is unique. In the past, I used to feel bad because people were saying you need to have like a 5-year plan, and I tried to craft it and I couldn't do it. I think you have to be
Hmm.
open to pivot, clearly, more or less know where you want to go so that you have a sort of direction. But it's okay. It's okay if you don't have all the steps figured out. Just be open and don't compare with others. Be yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. If I recap from what I learned from this session with you, I think I learned a lot. Your career journey is full of ups and downs, and you took on so many challenges. You jumped from one company to another without knowing how you'll do, and without any support, right? So that's something truly inspiring. And nobody's career is linear. Everyone has to work at it, somehow get inspiration from other leaders or other colleagues. And I think it's crucial to maintain one's motivation and positive look. Um, you know, uh, I think we have a couple of comments I want to bring in. Just, I
Hi,
see
my son.
a
Hi,
few
Felipe.
people.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank you.
So let me read it out for you. Thanks, Alessandra Righini. It was a fantastic session. Great to listen to you, learn from your experience. And Philip said, love the quote, the best is yet to come. I will steal that with pride. Amazing. Amazing. You got great followership. All right. I think that's all the comments I received. Let's wrap up. A huge thanks for tuning in to Story Behind a Resume. Want to learn more about our awesome guests or connect with future speakers? Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find the links in the description. And guess what? We're planning even more amazing sessions with folks from tech, marketing, finance, and more, all sharing their career stories and advice. Don't miss out. Hit that follow button on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the rate Story Behind a Resume. Love listening on the go? We'll be publishing this session in podcast as well on Apple and Spotify by tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. Follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated on new episodes. And hey, if you are a pro with a cool career story to share, we want to hear from you. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's chat about featuring you on Story Behind the Resume. Thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories that go beyond resume. Keep learning, and keep exploring. Thank you so much, Alessandra, for being
Thank you,
here with
Abo.
me.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.